Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of News Toast, where I give you all of the latest news in the game industry. And if you're a fan of Hideo Kojima, you should be really excited because he teased several projects today, and yes, you did hear that right. Several as in plural. Some of those projects are games, while others, well, it does seem like he may explore different media outlets, so we're going to dive into that here in just a moment. Also, Housemarque, the developer behind hit games like Super Stardust and Resogun, is also teasing their next game. I guess it's just the day of teasers, or really the last 2 days, considering we also got a teaser for Ninja Theory's game yesterday, but we do have some other stuff to talk about as well, including a big Stardew Valley milestone, Phil Spencer's continued effort in Japan, and more, so stay tuned for all that. You're not going to want to miss it. But yes, I do first want to talk a little bit about Hideo Kojima. I've always really been a big fan of Kojima, but really when you start to explore what goes on in his mind, it's all just so strange. I think when Kojima was with Konami, he was kind of held back probably from doing some of his stranger stuff, but now that Kojima has his own studio, he's kind of free to do whatever he wants, and we gotta see that with Death Stranding. Death Stranding, of course, had very mixed reception, with some people absolutely loving it and praising it for its storytelling, while others just flat out found it boring. I mean, it did get several Game of the Year awards as well, but on the other side, there still was a lot of people that just found it to be dull. It's by far one of the most polarizing games I've ever seen, and I've been playing games for a very long time. It's definitely a game that isn't for everyone, but one thing I have continuously heard was how strange Death Stranding is. Well, in an interview with Famitsu, Hideo Kojima and Yoji Shinkawa, and sorry if I mispronounced his name, but they do feel they need to make their next game even weirder than Death Stranding, and that may be hard to imagine, but I'm inclined to believe that they will achieve this. I mean, say what you will about Hideo Kojima, but I do think he has a brilliant mind, and it's hard to imagine what he can come up with next. I think when you play any of Kojima's games, you kind of know it's a Kojima game, even if you were not told it was developed by him, if you understand what I mean by that. His games just have their own sense of identity. The characters, the world, and its story is almost like they are an extension of Kojima himself. Or at least, that's what they are to me. I really have always found his worlds to be special. Not all of his ideas are amazing or anything like that, but he is certainly very creative, and I think if Kojima was not involved in these games, I think they would be completely different. It's the reason that I believe that Metal Gear Solid is not Metal Gear Solid without Kojima. Maybe I'm wrong on that, and somebody will come out and make a great Metal Gear game in the future, but I don't think anybody could just go do the Metal Gear franchise without him. I do think that developers could probably replicate the gameplay of Metal Gear, but it's his stories, the characters, and the worlds that really stand out to me. This is all just my opinion though, but in the same interview, they did reveal much more. Not only do they want to make weirder games, but Kojima wants to explore making smaller games alongside a big game. Episodic digital-only games is what was mentioned, to be a little bit more specific, which I think would be very interesting. Small indie games are often some of the most creative games in the industry with new and innovative ideas, and if Hideo Kojima were to make smaller games, he could possibly try out some of his crazier ideas, which I'm sure he has plenty of. We all know he likes being very cinematic as well, so it doesn't really surprise me when he mentions episodic games. It does make me wonder if he would like to do a point-and-click adventure style game, something like maybe Life is Strange or the Telltale games, or maybe something completely different, as episodic could be other types of games as well, but that usually is where my mind goes when I hear the term episodic. Kojima and Yoji did also mention that they also want to work on a mecha project, and maybe even manga. A lot of Metal Gear games heavily features mechas in it, so I think that isn't really too surprising, but a manga surely would be. I'm not really into mangas myself, but if you are, let me know if a Kojima Yoji manga would interest you or not. Either way, Kojima Productions seems like they have a lot of really creative ideas coming forward, so I like what I'm hearing overall. We will still get that big AAA title from Kojima, which I assume will be a horror game by this point. And considering how much people loved PT, it could end up turning out really well, but I really like the idea of Kojima doing smaller games on the side. I really think he could come up with some cool smaller games, but let me know what you think. Do you like the idea of Kojima working on both small games and a AAA game at the same time? I know Kojima isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I'm interested in hearing your thoughts, so let me know. Moving on, Housemarque, the developers behind the PlayStation 4 launch title Resogun, seems to be set to talk about their next game, which is supposed to be a big AAA game by them. Now, they usually do work on smaller games, so this would be one of the first big games you see from them. In a statement released today on their 25th anniversary, Housemarque posted that their next game will be their most ambitious title yet. They didn't go into detail about what this game will be, but did reveal a few key details. Whatever this game is will have 80 developers working on it. They have been working on this game for 3 years, and that not only are they in full-scale production right now, but they will also be revealing more on this mystery game in the coming months. So we are talking about an imminent announcement by this point, and based off some of the things that they posted here, it sounds like this could be yet another launch title for next generation, and that is something that will be interesting to follow. As we all know, PlayStation and Housemarque has a bit of a history together. Resogun did launch side by side with the PlayStation 4, and many fans considered Resogun to be the best PlayStation 4 launch title. Well, Housemarque has yet to announce who their partner is for this quote-unquote ambitious game. Is it possible that PlayStation is once again working with Housemarque on this mystery project? I'm not saying they are, but I do think that there is a real possibility that once again they will release a launch title, but this time with the PlayStation 5. I find it very odd that for whatever reason they have been trying to keep their partner secret so far, so I do think there is a reason for that. So I'm thinking this could end up being announced on a big stage somewhere at some point, and what is likely to be the next big event? Probably the PlayStation 5 event, and if I were to take any guess as to where this game will be revealed, it would be there. With all that said, Housemarque did give a bit of bad news too, though, as they did say they will be halting all development on Stormdivers, which was their next game. I don't think that the game had a lot of buzz around it. I haven't played it myself, but hopefully this doesn't affect too many people. Either way, let's look forward to this announcement in the coming months. In other news, in an interview with Naoki Yoshida, he talked a lot about Final Fantasy XIV and how it got its second chance to become one of the best MMOs on the market. See, the original Final Fantasy XIV released way back in 2010, which had a lot of criticism, and honestly, it was viewed as a pretty wretched game, so it was a bit shocking to see this game re-release in 2013 in the state it did. It was such a major improvement over the original, and it might be the biggest improvement I've seen in any video game. And while this is for the most part already well known, Yoshida did mention Phil Spencer's effort in bringing Final Fantasy XIV over to the Xbox. This is what Yoshida had to say. When the Xbox One launched in Japan, there were no TV commercials or advertisements, so I thought they were just giving us a pass this time. Phil Spencer had made such an effort to make this possible, and now it's cool to see it becoming a reality. This just kind of goes to show you what Phil Spencer has been up against and how he has made progress over the last few years in Japan. We talked about this earlier in the week, but a lot of the time, people kind of act like Phil Spencer doesn't do anything in Japan while he's over there, but in reality, he has made a lot of progress there. He got all the Final Fantasies on Xbox, he got Kingdom Hearts, he got Yakuza, Valkyria Chronicles, and among several others, and this is why I think so many Xbox fans love Phil Spencer so much. You can just tell that Phil Spencer is pushing Xbox in the right direction, whether that be in Japan, you have backwards compatibility, more first-party studios, Xbox Game Pass, and the list just goes on and on. He seems like he really gets it, and once again, it sounds like with Phil Spencer's efforts here, Xbox fans will also be getting Final Fantasy XIV. So a big thanks definitely needs to go out to Phil Spencer here. According to Yoshida, the Xbox version, just like all the rest, will be fully cross-play, which will be great for the entire community, not just for the Xbox fans. I will be interested to see when this game releases though, and hey, maybe it will be released for the Xbox Series X. And speaking of Xbox, Wasteland Remastered also got a release date for February 25th. It looks excellent, and it's a night and day difference compared to the original that released in 1988. I never played the original game though, so for me, this will be like brand new. I may just have to jump in and try it out, but nonetheless, you don't have to wait too long to try this game out. It's only a little bit over a month away. There was also another game-related announcement, and this one is great because Doom Eternal is apparently going to be a 20-hour plus game. I think Doom 2016 was just a little bit more than 10 hours long, but according to creative director Hugo Martin, Doom Eternal will indeed be longer than 20 hours. More than 22 hours, in fact. It does seem to be a little bit more cinematic this time around, with more of a story, so I imagine that does have something to do with this. I will say this though, every time I see this game, I come away very pleased. I think it has the potential on being the best first-person shooter in 2020. Doom 2016 was already really good, but this game somehow looks like they have taken another step forward. The only bad thing about all this is that it also launches the same day as Animal Crossing New Horizon. Granted, they are two very different games, but I'm sure there is going to be some overlap there with fans. Now, the last thing I want to talk about real quick is Stardew Valley, as they have reached a major achievement as the game has went on to sell over 10 million units worldwide. That is just incredible. That is big numbers coming from any game, but when you see an indie game do this type of thing, you know they're doing something right. I mean, it's not like these developers can spend near as much money advertising these type of games compared to something like, let's say, Call of Duty. So these smaller indies rely a lot on word of mouth. Well, luckily Stardew Valley has been widely accepted. It also helps that they release Stardew Valley on almost every platform, including mobile games, and it's highly addicting to play. So this is a big congrats to the developers. This is just very impressive and also very well deserved. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Peace out.